Ladies and gentlemen, the Woz. So, Steve, let me ask you, I'm sitting next to someone who's, revolutionized not only an industry, but the world. And I think so one of the questions I think is on everyone's mind is, what was it like being on Dancing with the Stars?
Okay, but a friend talked me into it, and later I found out the friend had never seen the show. He said, Steve, they need somebody like you. 6 hours a day, 7 days a week, practicing. Finally got it down to where even if I fell, I could get up and continue.
Well, we actually have a clip of that. No, I wish we did. No, I wish we did. That would have been awesome. There's been two big movies over the last 4 or 5 years. Jobs with Ashton Kutcher, recently with Michael Fassbender playing Steve Jobs, and 2 different people portraying you. So is there anything you want to, for any of the folks who've watched it, anything to clarify? Like, how did you feel about those portrayals? Anything you want to clarify about them?
I did not like the one with Ashton Kutcher a bit, because those early days of Apple, there wasn't a ton of press and focus. What is Apple doing next? What's Apple doing next? In front of, there wasn't a ton of that. They have to make it up. They have to go back and try to presume how Apple got started, and they get that all wrong. It's just, I hate that. It was like they showed Steve Jobs coming into town, discovering me in a basement with a computer, and you got to come down to the computer club. Wait a minute, Steve Jobs had never attended the club. He was living up in Oregon. He didn't know that I had built my computer. I was showing it off every 2 weeks at the club. I was a hero at the club. I'm the one who took him to the club to show him what was going on. No, they kind of want to over-glorify Steve Jobs from the beginning when he was really just a salesman.
Well,
I say that, well, he worked.
Oh, we know who the engineer is. So let's go back in time. Let's go back to the Apple I, the infamous Apple I and Apple II. I think your motivation for it, if people don't know your story, was a little bit different than what they would think of. What was the motivation, and what were some of the challenges?
I wanted a computer for myself. Was the motivation.
And you wanted to give it away. You wanted everyone to be able to.
Well, in the early days, not exactly, but in those early days, there was no idea that this was going to be valuable business, that it was worth money or anything. I just wanted to show off my engineering talents and help other people, have their own computer affordable, because I wanted mine.
So Steve Jobs comes into your life. You spend a lot of time with him. I think some of the folks would want to get a sort of insider's point of view of Steve, the other Steve. What were some of his strengths, and what were some of his weaknesses?
He always wanted to think of himself as, how could he be one of those important people in history? The Isaac Newtons and Shakespeare's that move us forward, and art became very important to him because he didn't have a technical or mathematical background. He didn't really know how to design a computer, even though he'd learned electronics of how to hook wires up and follow somebody else's design. So he wanted to be one of those important people.
It's interesting that was his goal, was to be somebody, to be someone who changed something. Mm-hmm. We heard a little bit about some of his strengths there. What would you say some of your strengths, and what are some of your weaknesses?
Everybody else was trying to start this little industry, and they were starting with the standard computer model of the past, and it wasn't a keyboard and a video display. And oh, good Lord, I said, I built that computer 5 years before when I met Steve Jobs. I was well past that. I want to make something human that humans can use. So those were my strengths, and my only weaknesses would have been really from my shyness. I didn't want to take control of other people. I didn't want to, very strong fairness, an ethical code.
Well, ethical code is a strength, obviously.
It is the way I feel, yeah.
Well, it seems like anything you put your mind to, you put your passion into, you seem to be successful. What do you think that formula is for you?
How successful you are isn't as important as how happy you were, how much enjoyment you had. And so I came up with the formula. Happiness is the most important thing in life. H equals S minus F. Happiness equals smiles minus frowns.
I think it's a great formula, and I think a great way to wrap this up. Steve, we really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Wozniak.